Welcome to Inside the 18 live from United Soccer Coaches Convention in beautiful Baltimore, Maryland. It is a beautiful day outside, actually. It's got lovely blue skies in Baltimore. It's supposed to snow tomorrow, though, so that's going to be. I love the way Omar just did that too. He's like, yeah, it's.
We've been having sessions every morning, so I'm just happy that the Saturday morning one is called off now. So I'm just not. I don't want to be out there. It's fun as a goalkeeper because you can kind of stay warm. But as a goalkeeper coach, sometimes it's tough.
Oh, dude, it's definitely a difficult thing. I'm Michael Magid, by the way. If any of the people out there have no idea who this person is who's talking into the camera right now, this is Pro GK Academy's Omar Zini, who really doesn't need any introduction. I'm sure everyone on this little Mevo camera right now knows who he is. And we're also joined by Brown University's goalkeeper coach Andre. Did I say Reis? Is it Reis?
It's Reis, yeah.
I did it. I was about to go Reis.
Reis,
which is the proper Portuguese pronunciation. Andre, what's up, man? You've been with us all week. This has been absolutely fantastic, hanging out with you. And the craziest thing is, so I ran into Andre, and he's like, I just thought he's just a goalkeeper coach who's like very knowledgeable and knows a lot about goalkeeping. And he goes like, hey man, he's like, yeah, I actually am really a fan. Like, I actually was just listening to you guys like a few minutes ago before I got here, and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's an insider. We got to have an insider on the podcast. We can't just let him just be like, hey man, that's really cool. Sorry, we got all these big people we got to have on here.
But it's an insider who brings value.
Insider who brings value.
That's what it is. A lot of insiders, they want to come on. I'm like, what do you do? Well, I'm like 14. I'm like, okay, you can bring value, but we want, from a coach's perspective, because that's what we, who we kind of go to. So,
what's just crazy is sometimes like we had a pro coach recently come up, and I'm like, yeah, man, do you want to come on the podcast? Like a very high level pro coach, and he's like, oh no, you guys have so much going on. I just a big fan. I just wanted to talk to you guys and stuff. You don't need to have me on. I'm like, dude, you work with like national team players and stuff like that. Like, we're pretty down to have you on the podcast. So today's topic, guys, we're going to get into it. By the way, rate, review, and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify. No, you can't review on Spotify, which is annoying. On Stitcher, Pocket Casts, YouTubes. Guys, trust me, we're trying to get that YouTube channel up. I at one day it's going to happen. As you know, Omar spends 24/7 working on his YouTube channel, so he does not have the time to do that. I've been trying to do it, and honestly, my gosh, I don't know how you do it, dude. It's a lot of
process, but you figure it out, and I think that's the fun part of it. Yeah. Make things easier.
I love the way Omar's like, hey, you'll figure it out, and like one day you'll figure it out. Like, it's just going to be this epiphany one day. But keep doing that, guys. Honestly, it's been absolutely fantastic. People like Andre, insider who've been rating, reviewing, subscribing. It means so much to us. It's how people find us on the charts. The higher up we move up on the charts, the more goalkeepers that we can connect with and impact, and that's really what it's all about. So just please keep doing that, and make sure you're leaving your social media handle. Instagram or Twitter is the best way to do it. That way we know who you are. Because like if Andre leaves one and he just goes like, and doesn't do it, and like his Apple podcast, like name is like, like Goalkeeping 1-4, and like I look for Goalkeeping 1-4 on Instagram, and like it doesn't exist, or on Twitter doesn't exist. I'm like, I don't know who that was, but it turns out because it was Andre Reis, or Reis. I just keep saying Rice because I want to try to be more like.
Yeah, do it up.
Yeah, all right, do it up. All right. All right, let's get into today's topic, guys. Today's topic is working. Omar, you had the topic. I'm blanking right now.
No, so the reason why I wanted to have Andre on is because I feel like not that we don't cover the women's game as much, but I just feel for the female goalkeeper, the recruiting process may be a little bit different. I know a lot of my sister committed at, I think, her freshman or sophomore year of high school. So I think the men and the women's side are a little bit different in terms of when you get recruited and how you get recruited. And since you're the goalkeeper coach at Brown University on the women's side, I just wanted to have you on just because I feel like you can shed some light on that and kind of give us, your own personal methodology, philosophy about goalkeeping, but also how you recruit goalkeepers, what you look for, and I think that's valuable for young goalkeepers and female and male, but mainly for the female one this time around. So
yeah.
For sure. I mean, first things first. Thank you for having me on. Dude. I mean, it's an honor. Every flight I've ever been on, I think I've heard you guys on a podcast. So and the tight schedule you guys have had with your superstar lineup so far at the United Soccer Coaches Convention.
I know. I love how Omar's like, he's like, we don't focus on the female game a lot. I mean, we just had literally one of the biggest female goalkeeper coaches in the world on the podcast prior to this. But no, honestly, dude, I just wanted to prove to people that we have a fan. Like that's why we have Andre on.
Don't typecast him,
man. But no, get back to Omar's question. Let's be professional here.
So I mean, biggest thing I look for in goalkeepers, I mean, is presence. Presence is something that you can't teach. I mean, you work on technique. Mike works on technique. Every goalkeeper is focusing on technical aspects, but that's something you can always work on. I feel like presence is just something that
the intangibles.
Yeah. It's just something that almost comes naturally. And in the female game, even when you're recruiting a goalkeeper, it's almost impossible to be like in a video training session or something, be like, oh, her presence is fantastic.
For sure, yeah.
So getting her into a camp, ID camp, seeing her on the field with other players she doesn't know in an environment that she's uncomfortable with is huge, I think, to see how she perseveres and her personality and all those things.
For sure.
Yeah.
So in your league, obviously, do you, let's say your head coach, Kia, right?
Yes.
So she says, hey, Andre, I know we have, especially in Davis, for example, the Big West Conference, there are some goalkeepers, some teams that play long ball, some people that are technical. So we want, as our coach always says, we want a goalkeeper maybe like 6'2 to 6'4, 6'5.
Yeah.
That's kind of the ideal goalkeeper situation because we want someone who's good in the air, someone who's also a good shot stopper. So from your guys' conference, do you guys take that into account?
I mean, our conference is very mixed in the style of play. Like, you got a couple teams that are really playing out of the back and playing short and in possession. Then you got other teams going to be more direct and mix it up a bit. But, no, I wouldn't say, like, for example, like you said, 6'2", 6'3", 6'4". We don't have, obviously in the women's game, that's hard to find.
I was literally thinking that. I was like, the way Omar was like, he's like, yeah, 6'2", 6'3", 6'4", and I was like, if you got a 6'4" keeper that you can find and she's got presence and she's technically clean, I'd do everything possible to get her to come.
Andre's
around.
poaching the WNBA draft. All right, we can get you some eligibility.
Yeah, I don't know if you can find.
Elena Deladone is going to play for Brown University as a goalkeeper.
Yeah, I don't know if you can find a 6'4" goalkeeper that's not going to trip over her own feet. But yeah, I mean, we don't have any sort of rule. Like, if a girl's 5'6" or 5'10". I'm going to look at her the same way. The staff's going to look at her the same way. Every goalkeeper is going to be different. We don't have that robotic formula like, okay, we want a goalkeeper that kicks the ball 70 yards. I mean, we have even on our staff right now, in our team right now, we have some goalkeepers that they can kick it farther. Others can play short better. Others are better in the air. Others are better in whatever it may be, communication. So there's no script. I mean, we look at everything and take everything into account.
Got you.
Sure. I want to talk about a little bit about the recruiting process because a lot of our insiders they reach out and they say hey I feel like the recruiting process on the women's side is very different than on the men's side. First off, there's more programs on the women's side than there is on the men's side, so the competition level is much higher. Yet the opportunity levels is much higher too. Is there what differences do you see kind of like recruiting men versus women?
I think I was talking about with Omar a couple of days ago that I feel like if you show up to any guy on a field, you offer him a full scholarship, he'd be like, all right, I'll go there.
Yeah.
No matter where it is, no matter what the academics are like, no matter where in the country it is.
That's what I did.
Yeah.
I literally didn't know anything about the school, and I'm like, they want me to play soccer there? I'm like, sweet, let's do that.
For sure. And on the women's side, I mean, girls are actually more like inclined to be focused on academics and focused on social aspects.
They're
of
just
the
smarter
school.
people is what you're saying. Yeah,
for sure.
Exactly.
For sure. Like a female can be like, oh, I'm off for a full ride. And they're like, oh, no, I'm going to go to this school because they have better academics. Or I like where it's located. So I think socially, it's definitely different.
Yeah, I think if you look at the top schools in the country, I mean, I don't know how UNC's academics are. I think they are pretty good. All the ACC schools. And then you have USC, UCLA, Stanford, they run the Pac-12 because obviously they can, like you said, it's a full package.
Yeah.
They can offer the, pretty much not the booster, but like the alumni and just kind of the notoriety of being at a school that's won national championships.
Yep.
And, girls and guys, guys too, who have played on the national team and played in World Cup. So that is probably one selling point. But at the same time, Brown is an Ivy League school, so you guys obviously have that selling point to players.
Yep.
Like, hey, even if, soccer doesn't work out or even though you want to pursue the professional career, things don't work out, we have this also as a selling point. Do you ever sell that as a selling point to the goalkeepers?
I mean, yeah, definitely. I mean, we can do both. Obviously, Kia has fantastic connections because she played in the professional women's league here. So she can get you in there, and she has contacts overseas. And, yeah, I mean, the Ivy League, I feel like in the women's game is really on the rise. Yeah. Because of that, because women are looking for the perfect mix of academics and, soccer, high-level soccer. So it is a great pull that we can offer both of those things. Yeah. And, being an Ivy League, get an Ivy League degree. Yeah, you don't have to work too hard to get a job after you
True.
graduate. So
Well, for you, in let's say we'll take it through a day of recruitment.
Yeah.
You step into the office,
Yep.
and what's the best way, or has someone ever surprised you in the terms of like, this is how I usually recruit my goalkeepers, but I saw this video or this way the email was phrased, or like what's something that intrigues you as a recruiter?
I think one of the biggest things for everyone is that it's a personal email. Like, we understand that, yes, you're probably
Mass.
sending an email to 50 coaches, but
Dear on Coach Andre, right? And it's like, and you know that like that was like put
Yeah.
onto the exact to a different person every single time.
Yeah.
Like, I'm very interested in like Brown University.
Yeah. No, obviously we know that they're emailing other coaches, and
Yeah.
that's fine. I mean, everybody has freedom to go wherever they want.
Yeah.
But let's say we played Harvard yesterday. Like, hey, congratulations on your win against Harvard. Like, that means a bit more, and that maybe I'm going to look a little bit more into this kid. And obviously, we'll all look at the videos. If you don't include a video and you're a goalkeeper,
Yeah, it's difficult.
it's difficult because, I'll start your email, but I'm like, okay, I haven't
Get
seen
to the
this
good
girl
part.
play. Like,
Yeah.
How important is game footage?
I mean, game footage is huge, but I love seeing training footage as well, because then you get to see what you're going to see on a daily basis. But game footage is huge in regards to, tactically positioning and playing out of the back, where they're picking up the ball, how confident are they, how brave are they coming out of the box, sweeper, keeper. I mean, so many different aspects that you're going to see in a game that you won't see in training. But I love taking a look at both, for sure.
That's a really good point that you just brought up in regards to that's what you're going to be seeing on a daily basis. I never
Yeah.
thought about that before, is that when you include that training footage, is you're showcasing who this human being is outside of the game too, because you're like, okay, this is what I can work with. This is the environment that I'm going to work with. And maybe in the game, even if I'm seeing some stuff that's sloppy, I can see how in training I'm going to be able to manipulate that and develop this person.
For sure. I mean, in training, like Omar, Mike, you guys, I mean, in training you're going to see everything you're going to see, like they said, on a daily basis. Their footwork, their handling. In a game, maybe they get one shot to their hands while they're standing up.
Yeah.
Like, okay, like she held that clean, but you're not in training, you're going to see, oh, she has a little technical deficiency there.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe we need to work on that in training. So
For sure. So when you watch the film and all that stuff, is there anything specifically that you look for? We all have different personalities. For me, at least, I like a goalkeeper that's technically sound and tactically sound. So
Yep.
through balls, being a sweeper keeper, that's big
Yep.
for me. Are you good on crosses? All the major little points in college. But for your personality and how your methodology works, philosophy, is there something specific that jumps off the page for you and you go, hey, I can work with this?
I mean, technically sound obviously is one of the main things you look at because,
Without it.
It's going to make your job
yeah,
easier.
it's gonna make my job easier.
Yeah.
But you're always looking for something unique. Like I said, we don't have a robotic formula. Like, all right, our goalkeepers need to, this is the only goalkeeper we want. They might check different boxes. Some keepers might be better in the air. Others might be better shot stoppers. Others might be better with the distribution. Others might have more presence to them. So I wouldn't say that there's a specific type of goalkeeper we're looking for.
Me
personally.
yeah, not so much the school. I don't.
No.
I could care less about Brown.
Yeah,
I'm
me
talking about
personally.
you. I'm talking about you as a coach.
Yeah, me personally, I wouldn't say there's a specific type of goalkeeper I'm looking for, but distribution in today's game is absolutely huge. So that's
Women's game too. No, I mean it's
for sure.
They're being asked to play more out of the back and all that
for
stuff.
sure.
Okay.
For sure. Like you see goalkeepers not even long ago, 5 years ago, that if you play the ball to their feet, they're probably going to pay and kick it out of bounds.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's definitely something that now we're looking for more and more in video when recruiting is, okay, can she play around? Can she play short? Can she play those little clip balls into 20, 30-yard balls? And can she play beyond?
Channels,
beyond in the back line. So, definitely distribution is huge now. But, like I said, a unique trait is something that we're looking for.
Gotcha.
What makes this girl special?
Those
Gotcha.
intangibles is what you're
Yes.
talking about,
Yep.
basically. So what are some of those specific intangibles that you can't teach that you want to see in a goalkeeper when you're looking at somebody that you want to present to head coach, regardless of what university you're
course.
coaching at? Yeah.
I mean, size is a very unique intangible.
Yeah.
Obviously, you can't teach that. So that would be a unique
I would
intangible.
love it if they could teach size. If they could teach size, that'd be fantastic.
Yeah, me and you would be.
I know.
yeah.
I know. We'd be in MLS right now. We wouldn't be here at the Baltimore convention. We'd be at preseason training right now,
For
with,
sure.
with Nashville, they've got don't they only have like one keeper right now?
Mike always knows who has one goalkeeper or two goalkeepers just in case he wants to come
just
back.
in case I want to come
Aline,
back.
just come back.
Yeah, just that emergency. If they still do that emergency pool goalkeeper, I'm down with that that position. Just Miami tomorrow, New York the other day. Yeah, I'm down with that.
So height, presence, what else?
Communication. I mean, there's so many goalkeepers that are phenomenal shot stoppers. They're unbelievable in the air, but their communication, they're introverted. They don't feel comfortable telling people what to do. They don't command the back line as well. So I think, like for me, presence and communication is massive because you're not going to be making 40 saves in a game. Well, I hope not. Hopefully. I mean, preventing that attacking chance before it happens is huge. So communication, it's hard to teach. You can help it, but that's also something that comes from the person. It comes from their personality.
Got you.
That's a tough thing, though, because everyone, I was actually speaking to somebody about this years and years and years back, and it finally changed the way I started coaching, is that it was actually Billy Stewart at Liverpool in the youth academy over there, and he told me at Dallas Cup, years back, he said, every goalkeeper's different. And if you're trying to train every goalkeeper to be like you, it's not going to work. And that goes with personality, too. If you try to take an introvert, if you try to take Alyssa Nayer, for instance, and try to make her Ashlyn Harris, it's not going to work because they're two completely different human beings, So how do you help an introvert with their communication? Because I think that's something that's fascinating to me, and it's always been very difficult to me because communication's always been easy for me because I'm a blabbermouth.
Yeah.
So how do you work with that?
Well, I mean, you definitely have to put them in training. You have to put them in situations where they're required to communicate.
Yeah.
I mean, small-sided games, for example. I think small-sided games are huge, not only for the team but for the goalkeeper because they're seeing so many different things they're going to see in the game.
Yeah.
And it's much closer, much tighter. So the dangers, you can always shoot on goal. So you have to communicate with your defender, be like, all right, force them left, force them right, whatever it may be. But in a game, in 11v11, maybe they're 40 yards away, and that person may not feel like they need to say anything to them. In a small-sided game, it's like, all right, the ball is 10 yards away. Like, what could you do to prevent that shot from happening? Or what could you do to prevent this run from breaking free or whatever it may be?
Like you said, it's kind of preventative goalkeeping. We talked about the FA yesterday. Tim Dittmer, he was talking about preventative goalkeeping.
Oh, you mean the brilliant answer that I gave? Yeah, I know. It's pretty cool. That's actually why he's going to be on the podcast to do that topic. But yeah, whatever. It's totally cool.
Hey, I asked him a question, too.
So did Omar.
We all said something.
Omar, I think, answered it. He asked him a question. He shot him down.
He liked it.
Oh, he did like it?
Yeah,
okay.
He was
okay.
I asked him, we'll get it another time.
Maybe we'll talk about Tim.
So, no, like you said, it's like the preventative aspect is like the bigger picture, but what attributes can you provide that are intangible ones that allow you to be a preventative goalkeeper? Sweeper keeper obviously is more tangible, but like the communication aspect, are you higher off your line? Do you understand pockets of space? Do you understand just have your field awareness in a sense? Yeah. So I know you've done male and female goalkeepers. I think a lot of us have covered both grounds as coaches. Mm-hmm. But for you, now that you've kind of seen on a consistent basis 3-4 times a week, are there any little nuances in the women's game that you feel are just
they're just, they're afraid to say the truth.
Politically correct.
Yeah. I think it goes both ways. I think women are much better than men in certain aspects, especially psychologically, socially, in terms of like being coachable. I find that women are much more coachable. Like they'll go out of their way to be like, hey, what did you see? What could I do differently there? Whereas a guy, if the coach doesn't go and talk to him, he's probably going to be like, all right, I'm perfect.
Yeah.
I'm the next Ter Stegen. I'm doing it,
Yeah.
Even we spoke about how you had a goalkeeper that he just didn't want to listen to anything you were saying.
It's difficult, yeah. Because they're stuck in their own way, in a sense.
And I feel like in the men's game, that's much more common than in the women's game. The women's game, they're always reaching out. They're always, hey, can I watch film? Can I do this? Can I do that? How can I be better? They're much more coachable. They'll take your coaching points and they'll try and implement them right away, as opposed to you almost hammering.
Push back a little bit,
trying to drill it into them and them not giving you anything back.
How about high balls? Is that something that is you've noticed at all or anything like that?
Yeah, so going back to intangibles, size, in the women's game, you're not going to find your Thibaut Courtois that's 6'6", right?
So say Tim Tebow. I was like,
yeah.
You're not gonna find your Tim Tebow that's gonna throw a game-winning touchdown against.
You're
the
not gonna
Pittsburgh
find
Steelers.
your Tebow, and I was like,
Yeah.
Courtois. Oh, okay,
Yeah.
there we go. We'll bring it back.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know what the average goalkeeper in the women's game is about, like 5'9", 5'8". You'll find your 5'7", 5'6" playing at a very high level, which you won't find in the men's game at the high level. So I think tactically it's a bit different, because you'll see in the men's game that your 6'4" goalkeeper, maybe they are standing at the top of their 6. On crosses, they're cheating a bit more. They're 4, 5, 6 yards off their line. Where in the women's game, if you're 5'7" and you're at the 6, and the ball's played in the air and it's over your head, you have to have perfect recovery footwork for you to deal with that. When you're 6'4", you probably can trip over your own feet and still make the save. So I definitely, in the women's game, you do see the goalkeepers play a bit closer to their line on aerial balls. Other than that, technically, all that stuff, I mean, it's very similar. I think it's just tactically it's a bit different, and socially it's a bit different.
Starting points.
Let's talk about set pieces then,
Yeah.
because if there's differences in regards to size differences because you're still playing in the same dimensions and everything like that, does your set piece strategy change?
I do think that you rely a bit more probably on your defenders to win those balls in the air that are probably, in between, in the second 6 or whatever, or at the top of the 6, as opposed to maybe your taller keepers claiming those balls. So, yeah, you do start a bit closer to your line, I would say. But, I mean, for the most part, it's very similar, other than the fact that the services might be different, might be a little bit less pace on them. So if you do have that 6-foot women's goalkeeper, maybe she can go get those floating balls. But, I mean, you do see the trend is to play a bit closer to your line, protect the goal a bit more. That in the men's game, they take a bit more risks, I would say. And just being more of a safer goalkeeper, I think.
Yeah.
One thing I like about the women's game, personally watching the women's game, is that I feel that technically it's cleaner than the men's game.
Yes.
Because it has to be. They can't get away with, trust me, there's tons of pace in the women's game too.
Mm-hmm.
But, a lot of men in the men's game, a lot of times there's players just with no touch who can just fly past people, that sort of thing. But I feel like in the women's game, just every time I play with elite women's players, their technique is so darn good.
Yep.
I mean, it's just so darn good. So do you think that's one of the reasons why it's easier to recruit the women's game at the youth level than it is at the men's level, because you kind of already see kind of the full package?
Yeah, I feel like, women at that age, girls at that age, are a bit more complete than a young boy, where they're might be still clumsy or they're still developing a bit more physically, where in the women's game, the females they physically mature a little bit quicker. So you do see the full package a bit earlier. And even talking about technique, like you say they're technically cleaner. I think women in the women's game, the footwork has to be better. So much better, just because of that aspect of the height. Yeah. Maybe their cross step or their decision making of claiming a cross, they can't take a little clumsy step or take that step forward because they're probably beat. They have to take that pause step or maybe a backward step to give them, allow them time and create space to go and claim the ball.
Amen. Yeah, so true.
I want to talk real quickly just in regards to coaching at the Ivy League level and recruiting at the Ivy League level.
I have to leave in about 1 minute.
Okay.
You guys can keep going.
Okay,
I'm going to step out real quick.
Yeah,
My meeting is about to start.
No worries. You can catch Omar Zini at ProGK Academy on all social media platforms.
Yes, I'll be right back.
And he'll be back in a little bit.
If I'm back before you guys are done, I'm going to hop back in, all right?
All right. Totally cool. All right, I'm going to which microphone were you using, Omar? Channel 3?
That one.
Okay, so you're channel 3. Okay, cool. All right, so I'm just whoop. How do I turn you off?
You can just keep me going. I'll just keep it over here. Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Just take that
Okay.
channel down.
Gotcha. Okay, that's what we'll do. I want to talk about the recruiting aspect in the Ivy League, because it's very, very different than the way it works with most Division I programs. Because you guys don't have the traditional athletic scholarship. It's all financial aid or need-based funding. So how do you guys circumvent that?
So we do have what's called supported spots, where we could have every year we have a list of, let's say, 6 players. Okay, these are our top players. They still have to be obviously very high academic, but the school works with us a bit more in terms of all right, this girl, she's going to be a big piece to our team. She's high academic, and we want her on our team, as opposed to, I don't know what the chances are getting an Ivy League school on your own. It's about 1%. So we do have supported spots, which is what we call our scholarships. Obviously, money-wise, it's not going to change, but you do get a guaranteed spot in the school and on our team if you do check all those boxes academically as well.
Okay, so that's huge, because I think one of the things that I've found in regards to, and I'm obviously making a blanket statement here, and obviously every situation is different, lower resourced players that I've dealt with in the past and talking to their parents and stuff, and they kind of throw the Ivy League off the table because they're scared financially that it's going to be such an investment that they can't make it happen, you know.
Yeah.
So there are ways for you guys to help with that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we have need-based aid. So
Okay.
if they have lower resources, they will get need-based aid. But again, Ivy League degree goes a long way.
Absolutely.
So regardless, they might have to make a financial sacrifice in those few years, but in the long run, it usually pays itself back for sure.
And I think another thing too is that you're still playing elite competition.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of times people blanket they kind of pigeonhole the Ivy League with the same as like the liberal arts D3 schools. You know, we're very high level education, and obviously don't offer scholarships as well too. And I've had a lot of parents who don't understand kind of that difference. It's like, well, you're playing Ivy League, it's still Division I, and you're still playing elite competition consistently. You know, so is that ever something that comes into consideration in recruiting?
Yeah, I think it's fading away a bit because I think everybody's starting to realize the value in the Ivy League academically and athletically. For example, we had the 5th highest RPI as a conference this year in
Really?
Division I women's soccer.
Wow.
So that's huge. Us, not trying to put Brown on a pedestal, but we were in the top 10 in the RPI to finish the year. So we are, striving. The conference is growing.
Yeah.
I do think the conference is on an upward trend, and even out of conference, we're starting to play more and more competitive ACC, SEC schools. So it definitely is high-level academics and high-level soccer.
Yeah. I want to talk to you, real quickly about this, because we were talking about working in the Ivy Leagues, what you're looking for in youth goalkeepers. What's the situation in the Ivy League? Because I know a lot of coaches are very hesitant to work in the college system because they're scared that they're not going to be able to coach youth anymore.
Yeah.
How does it work with because I know you guys are Division I, but it's a little bit of a different animal. Are you allowed to work with youth, and how far away are you allowed to work with youth, and all that sort of thing?
Yeah, so you're allowed to work with youth as long as it's within a 50-mile radius of the campus.
Okay.
So, yeah, you're definitely allowed to work with youth depending on our schedule and all that stuff. So it has to definitely fit in because,
Yeah.
nowadays you're always in the office, you're out recruiting, you're training, so it's hard to manage, but you can within a 50-mile radius. of your
Okay,
school.
cool. And there's no issues with if you're working at a certain club, if any of those kids are interested in Brown University, like how does that work? It's not like it's off the table for them because you work at that club or anything, right?
No, it's not. I mean, that's why the school needs to know what club we're working at, who the kids are we're working at, so they need to know if it is a prospective student athlete that we're possibly coaching. But yeah, we could still recruit that kid.
Okay.
For sure.
So you basically have to give them a roster?
Yes.
Okay, wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so how does that work with private coaching?
With private coaching, they also need to know
Okay.
where you're doing it, like who it is, what it is. But I mean, they still allow you to do it.
The NCAA, so much fun. You gotta love the NCAA.
Gotta love the compliance meetings every month.
Yeah, really looking out for the little guy, the NCAA. They're
Yeah.
just all about making sure that all these Division I assistant coaches are not breaking in those big bucks on the side, right?
For sure.
From all those personal appearances and all that sort of stuff. How about your players, your goalkeepers? Okay.
Yep.
Are they allowed to? Because a lot of them, obviously Brown, you're talking about very intelligent people
Yes.
here, and a lot of them, they strive to actually get involved in coaching as well too. They start their education early. Are they allowed to work with youth players while they're at Brown University, or no?
Yes, they are. We had actually a couple players, field players actually, that were working with a local youth organization, coaching like U10 girls, and we do actually, our ID camps, we have our players go in, help us coach and help us evaluate, because we do have a lot of actually interested players. You wouldn't think at the Ivy League that want to coach, but we actually do. So we get them in the ID camps. For example, our goalkeepers, I usually have one goalkeeper with me that is helping me run the goalkeeping sessions at the camps and helping me evaluate throughout all the games, small-sided games and all that stuff.
Nice. Now, what advice would you give to any young women out there who are playing in the college game right now, who want to get involved in coaching and start their coaching career? while still playing at a high level? It's because it's very difficult.
Yeah, it is very difficult. I would definitely speak to your coach about it because nobody's going to have more connections, more resources than them. So ask them if you could start helping out with your youth clinics or your ID camps, or maybe they can get you in with a local youth club or even a town organization where they can start feeling comfortable coaching, even with the little ones, and then build from there, I would say.
Do you feel that there's an issue when let's just say a veteran goalkeeper helps out with the goalkeeper coach in regards to running the sessions? Do you feel like you can make that happen and it's not stepping on anyone's toes? Or do you feel like there has to be that disconnect between player and coach?
You're saying a player that plays
for you,
for me.
Mm-hmm.
No, I think it's great for them to see because they see it completely differently. I mean, I don't know about you, but I feel like I became a better goalkeeper since I became a coach.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
I feel like I train less as a goalkeeper now, obviously, and I still feel like when I hop in a match, I'm a better goalkeeper than I was when I was actually playing at a competitive level.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, they definitely. It's great to see it from a different perspective, see what I'm seeing, see what the goalkeeper coach is seeing, and I feel like it makes them better when we go back into training the next day because I'm about to give a coaching point and they're freezing it and they're like, oh, you could do this and this. So it's great for them to see what I see on the other side for sure.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's the number one thing I think a lot of those people need to take from that is that if you want to become a better goalkeeper, you have to become a goalkeeper coach. Really, honestly, there's no other way to become a better goalkeeper. Whatever the training happens, that's totally cool. Just end up doing what we're doing and just spend a lot of time in offices and stuff like that. Yeah. You'll become a better goalkeeper.
That's the only way.
Yeah, it's the only way. Honestly, Dre, I'm starting to get wiped. I know we've been going for not too long here. But I feel like we've gotten a lot of valuable information, and I know I'm sure there's a lot of sessions you want to get to. Real quickly, I know this is a real tough one because NCAA restrictions, it's so difficult, for people to reach out to you. I don't know what the rules are right now. They change every 10 days. Yeah. So if there's I don't know how people can reach out. What's the best people to reach out to you, and who is allowed to reach out to you?
Okay, if you're not a junior in high school, if you message me, I am not allowed to respond.
And thank you for bringing that up because I feel like a lot of parents out there, they just don't know the rules, and they hear this podcast with you and they go, that guy was awesome. I want to reach out to him. I want to get advice on this and stuff. And you're like, oh, is your kid interested in going to Brown? I can't talk to you. So, okay, so that's good. So before junior year, okay, you can't.
So in the summer of going into your junior year, you're finally allowed to contact. You're always allowed to contact the coach. But the coach is allowed to contact you back with anything other than camp information. So we're allowed to respond with camp information, but nothing other than that, nothing personal. So whether it is a social media message or an email, there's nothing we can do about that.
Okay. Okay. So what if you're not a prospective Brown student? Where's the best place for people to reach out to you?
You can find me on Twitter. Okay. It's at Coach Andre Reis. That'd probably be the easiest and most accessible way for me to respond, especially because my email is always getting flooded. So
I can't even imagine how much it gets bombarded. You probably have one of those automatic replies, don't you?
No.
Okay.
No,
okay.
No. Everything's personal.
Okay. Everything's personal. All right, guys. That's all the time on Inside the 18 today. Remember, contact at InsideThe18media.com if you have a guest suggestion or a topic suggestion, or if you're a huge fan and you want to come on the podcast and you want to say, hey, you know what? You just had a fan on. Why can't I come on? I say, okay, what value do you bring? And then if you tell me the value you bring, maybe we'll get you on the podcast. At Goalkeeper Podcast on all social media platforms except for Twitter, at Goalkeeper Pod. I've been Michael Majid. This has been Andre Reis. We're out. Later, guys.